The audience clapped again. Piers shifted uncomfortably in his seat. He could feel the tension now pressing down on him. He had been in uncomfortable interviews before, but this was different. This wasn't just a difficult guest. This was a guest who had completely turned the tables. Piers exhaled sharply. So what? You think you're immune to it? You think you can exist in Hollywood without playing the game? Keanu chuckled softly. I don't play the game. I just do what I love, and I treat people the way I want to be treated. If that means I don't fit into the system, I'm okay with that. The audience exploded into applause. This time, there was no denying it. The crowd was no longer neutral. They weren't just watching an interview. They were watching a defining moment. Piers clenched his jaw. He could feel it slipping further away. He needed to regain control. He needed a knockout punch. His mind raced. Then he found a new angle. You know what, Keanu? You sound great up here, Piers said, his tone shifting, talking about kindness, talking about humility, but let's talk about something real. Let's talk about your past, your struggles, the things you don't like to talk about. The energy in the room changed instantly. Some in the audience gasped. Others leaned forward. It was a low blow, and everyone knew it, but Piers didn't care. He needed to win. He continued, his voice cold. You've lost people in your life, haven't you? Your best friend, your partner, even your daughter. That kind of pain, it changes a man, and yet here you are acting like it didn't touch you, like you walked away untouched. But tell me, Keanu, do you ever think that all this kindness, all this humility is just a way to cover up the fact that deep down, you're still broken? A dead silence filled the room. Piers had done it. He had crossed the line. Everyone could see it. The discomfort on their faces was evident. The producers in the control room probably panicked, realizing this was about to become the most controversial interview of the year. Keanu didn't move for a moment. He didn't blame. He didn't react the way Piers expected. No anger, no visible pain, just stillness. Then, Keanu took a deep breath. He looked at Piers, and for the first time in the entire interview, his expression changed, not into rage, not into hurt, but into something far more powerful, pity. And then Keanu spoke. You're right, he said, his voice steady. I have lost people. I have known grief, and it has changed me, but not in the way you think. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle. Then he continued, pain can break you, or it can teach you. It can make you bitter, or it can make you kinder, and I chose kindness. The crowd erupted, not just applause this time, a standing ovation. Piers Morgan sat frozen. He had tried to break Keanu Reeves. He had tried to expose his pain, but in doing so, he had only exposed himself. Keanu had just won the interview without ever playing the game. Piers Morgan sat in stunned silence, his carefully constructed persona unraveling before millions of viewers. The standing ovation in the studio wasn't just a response to Keanu's words. It was a statement, a shift, a moment where the audience had chosen their side, and it wasn't his. The claps and cheers stretched on longer than any Piers had ever experienced in his career. It was uncomfortable, humiliating even. This wasn't supposed to happen. He was supposed to be the one in control. He was the interviewer, the one who asked the tough questions, the one who backed his guests into a corner. But Keanu wasn't in a corner. He was elevated, and Piers, he was cornered in his own studio. Forcing a chuckle, he held up his hands, signaling for the audience to settle. His face was flushed, his fingers twitching slightly as he tried to regain some sense of dominance. All right, he said, flashing a tight-lipped smile. You've got the crowd, Keanu. I'll give you that. Keanu simply nodded, offering no gloating, no smugness. That made it worse. He didn't need to celebrate his victory. He just existed in it. Piers exhaled sharply, shifting in his seat. He needed to reframe the narrative. He needed to take control back. His mind raced for another angle, another way to catch Keanu off guard. Then he found it. Leaning forward slightly, he let his voice drop into a softer, almost sympathetic tone. You know, Keanu, I have to wonder. You talk about kindness, you talk about character, but I have to ask, is that really how the world works? The audience quieted down, sensing a shift. Piers continued, his words slow, deliberate. Because from where I sit, the world isn't kind. It rewards power, it rewards influence, it rewards people who take what they want. And no offense, but people like you, the ones who just choose kindness, they usually end up getting stepped on. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Piers could feel it now. He was baiting him, trying to push Keanu into admitting weakness. He smirked, eyes gleaming with the thrill of a potential opening. So tell me, Keanu, in a world that thrives on power, what happens when kindness isn't enough? Silence. Keanu took a breath. Then, without hesitation, he responded, kindness is always enough. The audience exploded again, but Keanu wasn't done. He leaned forward, mirroring Piers's earlier posture, and this time his presence filled the space. You see, Piers, people like you measure success in power, in control, and how much you can take from others, but the real measure of a person isn't in what they take. It's in what they give, and the truth is, power without character means nothing. The studio was silent, not because the audience didn't want to cheer, but because they were waiting. They could feel it. Keanu wasn't just responding. He was finishing this conversation. You asked me what happens when kindness isn't enough? Well, tell me, Piers, what happens when power isn't enough? Piers froze. The audience exploded again. This time it was different. This wasn't just applause. It was a reckoning. Keanu had flipped the entire question back on him. Piers had no answer because deep down he knew the truth. For all his power, for all his influence, in this moment, he had nothing. Keanu had taken everything from him, and he had done it with kindness. Piers Morgan's face was a mixture of frustration and disbelief. The crowd's thunderous applause was no longer just admiration for Keanu Reeves. It was a direct rejection of Piers himself. He had walked into this interview with full confidence, certain that he would be the one in control, the one who dictated the narrative, and yet here he was struggling to regain his footing in his own studio, on his own show, while Keanu remained composed, effortlessly dismantling every insult with grace and wisdom. And this is how it all ended for Piers. But before we move on, let me ask your opinion as the viewers here at this channel. Was this the moment Piers Morgan's career officially ended? Or will he try to claw his way back? Comment yes if you think Keanu finished him for good. And if you love seeing arrogance meet its downfall, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more legendary stories are coming, and you won't want to miss them.